What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So yesterday I gave you my updated top 10 worst contracts in the NHL. Feel free to go watch that video, but we are going to be doing more so of a positive video. We're not going to be shitting on guys. We are going to be looking at the top 10 best contracts in the NHL based on how much term they have remaining on their deal, what their AAV is, what their age is. It doesn't take them through their entire prime. We're going to be breaking it down. We're going to be getting into it right now. Up first at number 1, I got Jack Hughes. Not a shocker if you've been following this page for a while. You know I love me some Jack Hughes, and considering this guy has 6 years left at only $8 million, basically like good second line money now in the NHL, and this guy is a top 10 center in the NHL when healthy, arguably a top 10 player in the NHL when healthy. You look at him, he did have a bit of down year this year, 74 points in 62 games, dealt with a bunch of injuries, but when he is healthy, and I think especially now that he is older compared to when 2 years or a year ago he had 98 points in 78 games, I think that he's going to have 105, 110 points, and again, just turned 23 years old like last month, so you're getting him between the ages of 23 to 26. His entire prime at only $8 million. Right now, it's like heading into next season, solely next season, it's arguably like a top 10 AAV cap hit relative to how good they are. So when you consider the cap is just going to continue to increase, his overall play and production most likely is going to continue to increase at only 23 years old. I think he's got to be the pick for the guy at number 1. And second, we have another American who has an elite brother in the NHL, that of course being Matthewchuk. Similarly to Jack Hughes, he has 6 years left on his deal at $9.5 million. You can maybe argue him in the number 1 spot. Just for me, right now, I do think Matthewchuk is the better player compared to Jack Hughes. Matthewchuk is 26 versus 23. He's 3 years older and $1.5 million more. So I go with Jack Hughes, but this is still a fantastic contract. Matthewchuk is probably a 13, maybe even $14 million player when fully healthy. Got off to a bit of a slow start this year, but for the final 50 games was yet again like 110-point pace. The prior year, 109 points. So good in the playoffs. The ideal modern-day power forward has produced at such an elite clip in the playoffs the last 2 years. So when looking at Matthewchuk, this contract takes him between 26 to 32 years old, and I can't see a single season of him, unless he gets hurt, of course, him not being worth it and then some on this contract. So he gets the number 2 spot. And number 3, we go to Finland with Miro Heiskanen, 5 years left at $8.45 million. This year, for me personally, solidified Miro Heiskanen as a top 5 defenseman in the NHL. Last year had a great offensive year, 73 points. Wasn't as good defensively as prior years. This year, the offense wasn't as elite as last year, but the defense was yet again. He was a top 5 defenseman in the NHL, given his overall workload. So in looking at him, not only how good he was in the regular season, also in the playoffs, he's 20. I think he just turned maybe 25. He had a later birthday. So he's 25 years old. You have him 5 years at $8.45 million. There's so many defensemen in the NHL that are significantly worse than Miro Heiskanen, then are making far more. I think he comes in at like the 13th or 14th highest cap hit right now. You look at it, by the end of this deal, he's probably going to be like the 25th or 26th highest paid defenseman in the NHL. Absolutely fantastic deal. At number 4, we got another defenseman, Adam Fox, 5 years left at $9.5 million. I think that he is truly the second best defenseman. You can make an argument for him and Quinn Hughes, who might also be on this list later, but he's either the second or the third best defenseman in the NHL, and you have him 5 more years below market value at 9.5. I know 9.5 seems fat, but when you look at the resume that Adam Fox has had since his 2021 Norris wins the Norris, finishes 5th the following year, then second only behind Erik Karlsson last year, and this year finished 4th, but he missed 10 games. He probably would have finished 2nd or 3rd, maybe even won it. So when looking at Adam Fox, just so great, both sides of the ice, not as explosive of a skater as some of the other defensemen in this league, but the results are undeniable. He is a $12 to $13 million player, in my opinion. He's only 25 or 26 years old. He was a 2016 draftee, so probably 26. So you get him for his entire prime at $9.5 million. He is like tied for the 5th highest paid defenseman right now, but again, he's the top 3 defenseman, and that's only going to continue to go down in terms of where he's at the salary ranks. So I have him at number 4. Number 5, Tim Stützle, bit of a down year, but he still has 7 years left at $8.35 million. It was a down year this year, and he only had 70 points in 75 games, and was arguably still worth $8.35 million, and he's only 22 years old. When looking at this guy, assuming that he can even get back, I think he's going to be better than he was in 2022, 2023, where he had 39 goals, 51 assists for 90 points. I think he's at least going to return to that, if not even more, and be the franchise center for the Ottawa Senators, eventually be a top 10 center. And when looking at him, again, $8.35 million, similarly to Jack Hughes, that's like good second-line center money at this point. And this is a guy that you're getting between the ages of 22 all the way up to 29. A year ago, I probably would have had him I probably have him at second best contract. I got to bump him down a little bit because he did have a down year. He shot 9%. That's obviously going to go up next season. But as of right now, I think Tim Stützle still has a top 5 contract in the NHL. Another controversial one that I have at number 6 after a bit of a down year. I still love the Tage Thompson deal. I think you should really like it because even in his down year, he still was worth the $7.14 million that he gets paid. He still had 29 goals, 27 assists, 56 points in 70 games. He's going to bounce back. He's going to get back to being a 40-40 guy, and at only $7.14 million at 26 years old over the next 6 seasons is still an absolute bargain. Is he going to be scoring 47 goals, 47 assists every single year? Maybe not, but he is still going to be the Buffalo Sabres' number 1 setter throughout the duration of this contract, and the contract is not that much at only 7.14. Number 7, Josh Morrissey. Josh Morrissey, this is a little bit of a surprising one. I didn't even realize that he made this little of money until I saw the Athletics list when we reacted to that. But 4 years at $6.25 million. This is a guy that had 76 points last year. This year, only 69 points, solidifying himself as a top 10 defenseman. He's like the 31st highest paid defenseman in the NHL or something crazy like that. I was looking at it. So for a guy that's a top 10 defenseman that isn't that young, but he is 28, he's still going to be elite the next 4 years. Most likely a top 10 defenseman, if not top 15 at $6.25 million. That is what second pair defensemen get nowadays. Dmitry Orlov, it was a 2-year deal, but he got $7.75 million. So when looking at how much Josh Morrissey has developed the last couple years, his deal is truly one of the best defenseman contracts in the NHL at this point. 8th, Cale Makar, 3 more years at $9 million. Although I do think it was a little bit of a down year from Cale Makar, going forward, this guy's the best defenseman in the NHL, and even a down year for him offensively, or it was more so on the defensive end. But offensively, he was still insane with 90 points, 21 goals in 77 games. Needs to get back on the defensive track. Him and Devon Toews need to be better this season if the Colorado Avalanche want to win a Stanley Cup. But when looking at him, you're looking at a guy that's probably going to win multiple Norrises. It is only 3 years, so I can't really put it that high compared to some of these other deals. You look at Fox and Hekinan, that's 5 years versus 3 years. You do need to take that into account. Obviously, if Cale Makar had 5 years left at $9 million, he would be ahead of those guys. But he only has 3 years, so as a result, I have him at number 8. At number 9, another guy that has 3 years left at a very, very cheap price point is Quinn Hughes. 3 years left at $7.85 million. You could switch Makar and Quinn Hughes. I just think given Makar's track record, would I rather have Hughes in $1.15 million to spend over the next 3 years, or Makar? I slightly lean Makar. Again, you can switch it up. I'm not trying to hate on Quinn Hughes. This is a fantastic deal. He was a $14 million defenseman this season for the Vancouver Canucks. Great defensively while also having 92 points. And I think at 24 years old, I have no reason to think that he might not win the Norris every single year, but he should be a top 5 point per game defenseman. Over the next 3 years, it is fantastic value. Yes, he's behind Josh Morrissey because Josh Morrissey has that 4th year and is making, $1.7 million left. If Morrissey had 3 years, he'd be behind Quinn Hughes even at 6.2, but that 4th year makes the difference. So that's why I have Quinn Hughes at number 9. And then at number 10, I think the top 9 is pretty consensus. I went a little bit off the board with number 10. Some people might not like this pick, but I went with Matt Baldi. When looking at Matt Baldi, 6 more years left at $7 million. This is a 23-year-old that is one of the most complete two-way wingers in the NHL. This season, 29 goals, 40 assists, 69 points in 75 games, almost near point per game. I think that he's going to peak as a 40-goal, 50-assist, 90-point guy while also being fantastic defensively. defensively. Do I ever think he's going to be a top 20 player in the NHL? I'm not so sure. But again, at only $7 million the next 3 seasons, you get him between the ages of 23 to 29, similarly to Jack Hughes, his entire prime, and he's only going to get better from here. And even last year, he was probably around the $9 million guy. I think he can peak if he gets to that 40 and 50 while being that good defensively. That's a $10, $11 million player. So the fact that you get him for his entire prime, that's why I have him at number 10. Here's the full list. Jack Hughes, Matthewchuk, Miro Heiskanen, Adam Fox, Tim Stützle, Tage Thompson, Josh Morrissey, Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, and Matthew Baldi. Some honorable mentions. I forgot to do honorable mentions when I did the worst, but some honorable mentions. Nikita Kucherov, 3 years, 9.5. If he continues this level of play, he should probably be on here, but he is 31 years old. Not so sure about the future of the Tampa Bay Lightning, if he's going to be able to hold up. Braden Point, 6 years left at 9.5, is a little bit older. Oh, he's not that old, but he's like 20. He's going to be 29, I think, during this season, so he just barely missed. Zach Hyman, 4 years, 5.5. It depends how much you rate Zach Hyman. Is he a Connor McDavid merchant? Is he not? I think he's a very good player, but I'm not as high as maybe some other people. Joel Eriksson-Ek, 5 years, 5.25. The guy that I get called the doppelganger. $5.25 million for a guy that gives you 60-ish points while being very good defensively. Can definitely make an argument for that. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 5 years, $5.125 million. Another spectacular deal. Bratt, 7 years, 7.875 for a guy that's a point per game first liner. Robert Thomas, 7 years, 8.125. Just set a career high in goals and assists, or goals and points at 86 and 27. Aho, 8 years, 9.75. I think that's going to age fantastically. And then lastly, Alexander Barkov, 6 years, $10 million. You might say, oh, if I have Matthewchuk, why don't I have Alexander Barkov? Barkov is 3 years older and is making $500K more. But again, you could definitely throw some of those guys on the list. These are just my personal picks. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? Who would you move up? Who would you move down? I'll be seeing the next one.